The new finesse, if you're not paying attention, is squatters. Squatters, it's becoming squatting isn't anything new. You know what I'm saying? When somebody basically breaks into your property and just decides they're going to live there. It ain't nothing new, but a man decided he was going to move in with his squatters. This is wild.
Chicago man says he did the unthinkable when he discovered alleged squatters in his property. He decided to move in with them. Marco Velazquez is the owner of this Southside property, which is on the market to be sold. He says his realtor came by with a potential buyer, but there was already people inside.
I couldn't believe it. It was like a nightmare.
Velazquez says a woman named Charmaine and her boyfriend Cordero moved in, claiming they recently purchased the property. He says the couple showed police this mortgage document, but Cook County confirms they don't see this mortgage on record. Velazquez's realtor recorded this video as the couple explained to police they had a right to be there.
Y'all bogus right now.
Y'all bogus. You know you in Chicago when you hear bogus or you hear the word Joe. Man, Joe, y'all bogus. Now, they showed a document, Charmaine and Cordero, these two squatters, they showed a document, and they know this document ain't real, but they basically are squatting in this house.
I listen, bro.
He says police told them under Illinois' current law, they couldn't remove anyone.
I said I'm not moving out, and I said at the one point they gotta leave. They gotta get tired of us being in the property. I called a couple of friends, stay overnight, and I knew they were not gonna like that.
So you're telling me that you and your friends came in and moved in with them?
Yes.
Velazquez says he, his wife, and their friends got a few air mattresses and spent the night with the alleged squatters.
We stayed in the living room. We were watching all the time the door.
Yo, you got to give it to this homeowner. He decided to get his wife, his friends. They got some air mattresses, and they like, yo, we about to live in here with y'all. You going to squat in our property? We going to do this thing together. We going to have sleepovers every night together. And then from there, he was hoping they would leave, but the squatters said, we ain't leaving.
The next morning, he says he realized they were not budging.
They're like, oh, well, we want $8,000.
Velazquez says they negotiated. He had the couple sign a cash for key agreement, and he paid them $4,300 to leave.
Now, let that soak in for a minute. He had to pay them $4,300 to get out. Now, here's the thing. This is why people so mad with government and local government in some ways, because, you know, the squatting rights for, let's talk about tenant rights, right? So if you're in a state like New York or New Jersey, I'm on the East Coast, when you're trying to evict somebody, it's going to take you about 2 years. In New York, definitely about 2 years. On average, in New Jersey, maybe if you're lucky, depending on how the courts are going and all that, maybe 1 year, 18 months. So the thing about it is that people are tired, homeowners are tired of situations like this. Now, the squatting thing is not just Chicago. There are plenty of other places where you have squatters that'll just go in and be like, yo, I'm not leaving. And in Illinois, for example, the squatters' rights, you have to serve them a notice to vacate. They don't just leave right now because you told them to leave. It's not like you can just be like, yo, get out. Now, and you know, this couple, they produced this fake mortgage paper. So, you know, I think they hope to just kind of get into this house, stay there a long time, and hopefully get possession of the property in some form or fashion. Now, back in the day, people used to, you know, they used to squat and burn out looking homes, crack houses, you know, crack house looking type of place where you would think somebody would squat. But this house looked like it was pretty decent inside. And listen, if you can't get them out, you know, you do what you call cash for keys. Now, if anybody who's familiar with cash for keys, is just something very simple. Usually landlords will say, okay, if you got a tenant you're trying to evict who doesn't want to leave, it's a lot cheaper to just break them off a few $1,000s to get out of there, because ultimately, if they're staying there, especially in a state like Illinois, you're going to be taking, you know, you're going to be in no rent. You can't sell the property. You can't live in the property for 18 months, 2 years. So you're going to lose a lot more money in that time, as well as court costs. So it's a lot easier just to give people the bread. Give me the keys. I'll give you the cash. See you later. No harm, no foul. It's a lot easier.
We wouldn't want to give them money, but we heard, you know, really bad stories about squatters taking over properties 6, 8, 10 months, even a year.
Velazquez says weeks later, a CPD detective called them, informing them that one of the alleged squatters is the same woman accused of squatting in Marcia and Carlton Lee's home after leaving his property. In the Lee's case, Charmaine Powell Gillard was arrested and charged with burglary, forgery, obstructing identification, and criminal residential trespassing.
Look at Shorty's face. She's sitting there looking like I ain't do nothing. But y'all know good and well those mortgage documents you were showing wasn't real. You know what I'm saying? So she's done this before. Her and her boyfriend probably done this before. And look, I get it. Housing prices are high. The average person with a decent job can't even afford a 2-bedroom anymore. I get it. You know, real estate prices are out of this world. You know, the cost to live, people are spending 50%, 60% of their income on rent and or mortgage. But it doesn't make it right for property owners who have to sit there and pay property taxes on the property. Now, look, depending on who you're dealing with, now, if it's a homeowner who might be a little bit more I won't say street savvy, but more inclined to street practices or solutions, it might shoot you. You know what I'm saying? Because imagine somebody's just in your house, squatting, just living there, telling you, we ain't leaving. You know, so luckily he got them to leave, but they've been doing this before, and it's obvious.
Obstructing identification and criminal residential trespassing. In the meantime, Velazquez says he's working with a detective, and he hopes action is taken in his case, too.
I heard stories before about squatters. I never thought it was going to happen to me.
The accused squatter, Charmaine Powell Gillard, said claims that she is a squatter are false and unfounded, and wrote, quote, innocent until proven guilty.
People aren't going to admit they're a squatter, but you either a squatter or you're not. And there's no way that she has a loan document. I mean, she may have a loan document, but no bank has lent her money to buy this home, because if they did, then the check would have went to the property owner. So if the bank made a loan on the home, where did that money go to at closing? So obviously it didn't happen, but let me know what you guys think. Again, this isn't just Chicago. The squatter thing it's a real problem, and I've heard of these stories all over the country. This is the first time I ever heard of a homeowner deciding to get the air mattress and say, yo, I'm moving in with y'all. So let me know what you think in the comments if you heard anything like that. Crucial Convo.